To our top story now. And GB News understands the US State Department is preparing to make a major intervention over the Chagos Islands deal, with a letter or an email or whatever expected imminently to the Prime Minister and the Foreign Office.
Well, Robert Midgley, a spokesperson for Friends of British Overseas Territories, joined The Late Show live to discuss this issue.
We finally had a meeting with the pen holders in the State Department who confirmed to me today that they will be imminently writing officially to the FCDO to confirm their new policy stance towards Chagos Islands, which will be following Donald Trump's stance on Truth Social.
And of course, this follows another setback, if you like, for Sir Keir Starmer today, because new polling has shown that his popularity has sunk even lower.
Well, joining us now in the studio is former Mayor of Middlesbrough and political commentator extraordinaire, Andy Preston.
Thank you.
Good morning again, Andy.
Morning.
Listen, there could be real trouble ahead on Chagos for Sir Keir Starmer if Donald Trump's administration is determined that they don't want to see this deal going through.
There's no doubt, Mark, this is heaping even more pressure on Starmer. He's on the ropes. He's been on the ropes for 9 months.
Yeah.
And it's quite remarkable, actually, in some ways, credit to him for hanging on in there and taking the blows week in, week out. But this puts a lot more pressure. So the Chagos deal the discussions were started under the Conservatives. Labour took over winning power and have done a deal which many say is a terrible deal. The Americans were fine with it, but Trump now seems to be turning on this.
Well, he didn't seem to fully understand that we were... Because he said, why are they selling the Chagos Islands? Maybe they need the money.
Yeah.
He didn't seem to understand that actually we're paying Mauritius to take it.
Yeah.
I think from a US security perspective, nothing has changed. But the Tories quite rightly found that in 1966, we signed a binding agreement with the US that would prohibit the hand back to Mauritius. So there are two angles on this now. This is putting more pressure on Starmer. So the public are curious and furious about the Chagos deal because it doesn't seem to make sense, does it, that you control a piece of land, you hand it over to someone, rightly or wrongly, but you also then pay them a load of money.
Hello, I'm Bev Turner. Now, it can feel like the money in our bank accounts at the moment does not keep up with the cost of living, and maybe there's a solution. I'm here today with the CEO of TallyMoney, Cameron Parry. Cameron, what is TallyMoney?
Well, Bev, with TallyMoney, you get a current account and a debit card, but instead of pounds, you use milligrams of gold as your everyday money.
So why gold?
Gold traditionally is a great store of value. It has, on average, gone up at over 11% per annum for the last 25 years against the pound. It's tripled in value in the last decade. And in the last 2 years alone, it's increased by 50% against the pound. Banks' savings products just can't compete with that level of growth.
But this isn't just about gold. This is about a currency that you guys have created at TallyMoney. Explain it to me as though I'm an idiot.
So, look, people need to be able to hold their earnings and build their savings in a money that retains its value and remains in their legal control and remains theirs to access, away from government control.
Great. You had me at not exposed to government control.
You should feel safe and happy with your money. You should have peace of mind the more money you see in your bank balance, and that's the type of thing we're trying to deliver and give people choice in the type of money they get to use every day.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Cameron. Thank you.
Each year. It does frustrate people. So Trump joining in now, and I think it's political posturing, but Trump joining in nonetheless heaps more pressure on Starmer. He's on the ropes.
Yeah, I mean, some people have, pointed to the fact that Trump appeared to be quite accepting of the deal initially, but isn't it more of the case, Andy, that actually he was probably not that aware of the fine detail here? We're taking the assurances from the UK administration. It was at a time of a visit by Sir Keir Starmer. They wanted to ensure that had gone smoothly. And only really since then, perhaps, have they got to the minutiae of what's actually involved here.
It's totally feasible that Trump did not know the detail of this, and not many would expect him to. His security services, that huge operation in the US, must have known the detail. They must have gone through this with a fine-tooth comb. Chagos Islands, Diego Garcia is really important to the US and the UK, so it's impossible to think that they didn't know. I think that what's changed for Trump is domestic pressure at home. His popularity and approval ratings are falling. They were low anyway. For a US president at this point in their cycle, he's about as low as people have ever seen. So he's under a lot of pressure. He did lose some face in Greenland, most people think, regarding the Greenland situation at Davos. So he's now desperate to seem tough and looking after US interests and be successful. So he won't let this go, I don't think. So this heaps huge pressure on Starmer, which, as you said earlier, is at exactly the wrong time when there's this new poll out. So there's a lot more pressure. There are, of course, May elections looming. Andy Burnham's still in the background. Starmer's on the ropes, but he has been for 9 months, and he's hung in there.
Yeah, he has hung in there, but it must be very depressing reading for him if he's allowed to see the papers at the moment. But, I mean, what is likely to have been said or to say in this missive, letter, email or whatever that's coming from America? I mean, how much pressure will they pile on and how distinct will they be in the way that they sort of phrase it?
Well, Trump is involved, so it could be a formal, conservative but clear letter, or it could be something way over the top. So I wouldn't like to predict exactly, but either way, this is piling pressure on Britain, but Keir Starmer. And he's in a no-win situation. If Keir Starmer buckles now, people say, oh, my word, there's another U-turn. If he sticks to his guns, people will say, oh, my word, you've got the Conservative Party, you've got Reform, and you've now got the USA, our biggest military ally, saying, don't do this. But you're so pig-headed that you're doing it anyway. So Starmer is an impossible
It's another
situation.
lose-lose situation.
He cannot win. And as I say, the context of this is just after Andy Burnham.
That was a lose-lose situation.
That was a lose-lose. You've got Angela Rayner and Wes Streeting on manoeuvres, both neck and neck in the race to be the next leader, which means next Prime Minister. Starmer's he's in a tough spot, but he keeps hanging in.
But and finally, it's just worth, I think, reiterating the importance of the Diego Garcia base, because many people might be watching this and think, Chagos Islands, you know, is it really that important strategically? Well, it clearly is. I mean, if, for instance, as has been talked about, the US do decide to strike Iran, that base will be pivotal in launching a number of the bombers heading towards Iran. It's not just coming from aircraft carriers.
100%. It's absolutely critical, and it's vital to both the UK and the US. And that's why the deal that was struck, whether it made sense financially is another discussion, but militarily it makes sense because it guarantees use of Diego Garcia for the next 100 years. And that's why this thing has taken years to negotiate. The idea of doing it sounds good, is that you can comply with international instructions, but you can also retain control. The finances look bad, but politically it's lose-lose for Starmer. It's a horrible situation for him.
OK, Andy Preston, thank you very much.